up your engine! Today I'm going to talk about the forgotten air filter, the cabin air filter. As I say, they filter the air inside your cabin. And unlike other things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it, no. You want to do preventative maintenance with these things. Here's why. The cabin air filter filters the air that goes inside your car, goes through the heater, goes through the air conditioner, and keeps crap from getting in there. But the crap will get stuck on the filter. And I fixed many cars that didn't have good air conditioning or hardly any heat just by replacing a clogged up filter. But it's worse than just not flowing right and not getting hot enough or cold enough. If this thing is restricted, it can make your fan work harder, clog things up. If crud gets through because it's all clogged up and get in the system, it can destroy parts of your system. Like the fan motor will be straining too much, it'll burn out. And here's something that you may never have thought of, but if they spin and wear out, the copper that's inside your little fan motor, sucks the air and blows it around, can get worn faster. It can throw little bits of copper in the system. And since most AC evaporators and heater cores these days are made out of aluminum, the copper in aluminum can have a galvanic response, and it can end up eating holes in the super expensive heater cores or evaporator cores for the AC system. And if you price out changing a heater core and evaporator core in a modern car, some of those jobs can cost you over $1,500. These filters don't cost much. They're relatively easy to change, as I'm going to show you. Now they can hide those filters all over the place. Some cars put them under the windshield. In this case, it's in the more common one, in this Lexus. It's in the glove box. And yeah, you gotta take the crap out of your glove box, but big deal. It's not that hard to do. Now we got the crap out of the way. I want you to look inside. It's pretty simple. You pull this cover off that's covering it up. Then there's another cover. We just unsnap that. Sometimes they're hard to get to, but when you squeeze them, they'll eventually come off. There we go. Now there's the filter. As you can see, this says up that way. You want to put them in the right way. Now just grab the stupid thing and pull it out. And look at the crap that's in there. As you can see, there's all kinds of crud in here. It's going to restrict the flow. But more importantly, if you have any kind of allergies, it's all going to grow inside here. We're going to replace this one. And then of course you got to decide, what do you want to replace it with? And you'll find out there's all kinds of ones. You get expensive ones, high flow ones, ones that have carbon filtering, discount ones. You can choose which one you want, but you need to know knowledge about it too. Now don't be overwhelmed by these choices. Decide how clean do you want the air to be. If you're one of these people that has a lot of problems with pollen and allergies, my advice is get one that's got a carbon-based filtration system, and that will help stop the allergies. The carbon does a good job. And if you know you maintain your vehicle, you might get one of those K&N ones. They cost more, but they filter quite well, and they're cleanable. So instead of keep buying them, you can take them out, you can vacuum out, you can spray them with the cleaner, put them back in. It all depends on what you want. And if you're a real fanatic about clean air, you might want to buy one of those new Volvo XC90s. They have a thing called Interior Air Quality System, IAQS. At Volvo, it's a fully automated system that removes particles, noxious gases. It's a very sophisticated system. If, let's say, you're getting too much carbon dioxide inside the car, realize we exhale carbon dioxide. It'll make you sleepy. It automatically will take it out of the recirculation mode and put it into the fresh air mode coming through the filter, so you won't build up carbon dioxide. Because I understand if you have a well-sealed car, put it on recirc, you're going to build up carbon dioxide. Now, if you got an old clunker that's full of holes, you're not going to care. Air's going to be blowing through the whole time. But if you remember those old ads for Volkswagen Beetles, they float. For a certain period of time, they would float. They were relatively airtight inside. If you had a perfectly sealed car, you would, of course, be putting out too much carbon dioxide. So you'd need some fresh air every once in a while. There's various systems out there today with computers and stuff that bypass that. If you're really a fanatic, you might look into that stuff the next time you're buying a new car. You know, when you're driving on the road and there's a stinky car or old truck throwing black soot out of the diesel to you, this will automatically put it to recirc. Stop that. But it also warns you, so that if you're getting too much carbon dioxide, you're not going to have a problem with falling asleep at the wheel. For those of you who don't have these systems, you can just don't keep it on recirculate all the time. You can put it on fresh, recirculate, or what a lot of guys do is they'll have it on recirculate, but they'll crack one of the windows just a little. And that's plenty enough to let air in so the carbon dioxide won't build up. You start to feel sleepy if you have more than 1,000 parts of carbon dioxide per million. And just cracking a window, that'll keep that out. It'll suck air. Air will be coming in. But I mean, if you're worried, just put your car on fresh when you're on the highway. Most cars aren't sealed that well anyways. When you're changing your filter, decide, what do you want to do? If you just want to filter out leaves and debris and stuff, just buy a plain old paper one. They're the cheapest ones. If you really don't like smells, then get one that's carbon infused to help get rid of the smell. And if you really want the ultimate filtration, but you don't want to keep buying these stupid things, get one of those K&W ones that can last forever. You just keep cleaning them, use a little spray cleaner, put them back in. But don't forget about it, because if it does clog up, it can cause some very expensive repairs in your heating and air conditioning system inside. You're not going to be as hot in the winter, not as cold in the summer, and if you wear out some parts inside from straining too much, you're going to wish you bought yourself a little $10, $12 filter every once in a while, or at least take your old one out, clean it with a vacuum cleaner, get the dust out of it and put it back in. You want to keep good flow. Now as we go back inside, you can see it's an easy job to put it back in. We pulled the old one out, and this particular one shows air flow, and you want the air flow to go the way it's flowing. Now in this particular case, the air is flowing down because the fan's under there and it's sucking it in. So in this case, the airflow goes down. You want it to go down because the air is coming from the outside, flowing through air, then being blown around out the vents. And when you take it out and turn it on, you can feel it sucking in, so the air goes that way. If it had been blowing out, then the flow would be this way. But the flow's down, so it's sucking in. And since it's sucking in, you want the airflow to go that way because it's sucking down. Then you just snap the cover back on. It's always fun fiddling with this plastic crap, but eventually, there it goes, nice and tight. And then we get the cover, and the cover snaps in too. That's just so stuff doesn't fall in there. Oh, it's in nice and tight. We can throw all the crap back in and close it up. And as you can see, you can now breathe a lot easier. And so can your fan motor. You won't get any crud that might eventually make it past the filter, get inside and ruin some of those plastic gears. It costs a fortune to replace if you have to take the dash apart. Now, as the saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. Well, you don't want this to be out of mind, even though it's out of sight. Crud builds up readily. This particular car is parked under pine trees because it's got pine needles. Pine needles are very acidic. You don't want to be messing around with stuff inside your car. You want to take it out every once in a while and clean it. Now this one, and this older Lexus, was really well designed. You can see it doesn't take 20 seconds to change it out. Some you got to unscrew, take the glove box out. Some of them are under the cowling here, where you got to take plastic stuff off. But for your own peace of mind, find out where your cabin filter is. Check it at least twice a year to get the crud out of it. Especially if you have allergies. This is going to lower it. Especially if you get a higher quality filter. If you want, you can even get aftermarket kits to have ionizers. Or if you live up north and you're worried about being dried out, you can get ones that have humidifiers put into them. You can even get dehumidifiers if you live like in Houston, where you want to get rid of the humidity. You can add whatever you want, but don't forget about the lowly cabin air filter, because you might regret it with some very expensive repairs. Or everyone in your family might be sneezing their head off all the time because all those allergens are getting thrown all over the place because they built up on it because you didn't clean the thing or replace it when it was all clogged up. And if you live up north, if you got a bunch of stuff blocking it, doesn't get much flow, it can even get wet and freeze up in the winter. You won't get any airflow at all. So you do want to check it. I've had it, cars up north, take them out sometimes in bad weather, because I'm worried that they're going to get wet and freeze up and not work. I've even done that when I was in snowstorms with an air filter. I had Opel and the air filter kept getting frozen up. Snow and ice, and it wouldn't suck air. It hardly would go over 20 miles an hour. I just took the air filter off on a trip, and then I put it back in later. I wanted to get somewhere. That little bit not having an air filter isn't really going to hurt anything. But it really would hurt something if you got the heater on, it's not sucking any air, and your windows start fogging up and you can't see where you're going. So pay just a little bit of attention to your cabin air filter to prevent expensive repairs later on and to make your driving experience better. So now you know the truth about cabin air filters, how a very simple device can be easily checked and replaced by yourself with whatever level of quality filtration you want to pay for. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.